of Kashmir is now going to share the centre stage of Colours of India. This is a proud presentation of Dr. Lalita Kaul, whom you catch on Women's Worldview on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Today she will present Mr. Maharaj Kaul, who is an expert in his dazzling sights and sounds of the dazzling, heavenly city of Kashmir. Let's take a look.
Good Sunday morning. I am Dr. Lalita Kaul. Welcome to Aura of Kashmir. Today we have a prominent author, Mr. Maharaj Kaul, who will be presenting the outline of the history of Kashmir. I hope you enjoy it.
The American writer William Faulkner wrote, "The past is never dead. It's not even past. Our past is a powerful element of our consciousness, besides the history it provides of events that we must know to understand the world we live in and learn from. Beyond the factual mosaic of events that history attempts to be, it is the irrigator of our consciousness, whose fertility we very much depend upon for the richness of our present and future. We are living carriers of our personal and historical past. If we only learned from history keenly, the world we live in today would have been a more peaceful place. Ancient histories of different parts of the world are wrapped in a lot of fog, particularly those in India, where history gathering art and craft was not considered a significant intellectual activity in the distant past. However, Kashmir has been an exception, where good records of the times were kept, though some of them got lost. For much of the Kashmir ancient history, we depend on Nilmad Purana, the oldest extant book on Kashmir, and Pandit Kalhana's Raja Tarangani. Nilmad Purana was written between 6th and 8th centuries, and Raja Tarangani around 1149. Later work is very significant because it's the first history written in India, and also because of the way it was written. Kalhana approached history in a scientific and democratic way, giving the kings and the common men the same importance while assessing the causes and significance of the events of a period under consideration. He saw the transitoriness in the material and the political power. Here was the historian with a spiritual vision of human existence. He was a Kashmiri Brahmin and wrote Raja Tarangani in Sanskrit verse. His book is one of the most widely used references of the ancient Indian history. After his death, his work was carried on by other historians till almost the start of the Mughal era in Kashmir. Nilmad Purana records in the 6th to 8th century period that Kashmiris were a religious people upholding the sacredness of the land and leading generally a happy life. Unlike some of the other parts of India, women enjoyed considerable freedom and were looked upon with respect and honor. The name Kashmir is found in unbroken form in ancient Hindu texts like Nilmad Purana, Ashtadhyayi, Mahabharata, the Puranas, and Brihad Samhita, over a period stretching to 2,300 years. Legend has it that King Gunanda I of Kashmir and his son Damodara lost their lives fighting in Kaurava Pandava war of Mahabharata. From the earliest historical times, Kashmir was ruled by Hindu kings. Now this lasted till 1339, when Sultan Shamsuddin, popularly known as Shah Mir, an emigre from Swat, which is in the present-day Pakistan, laid the foundation of the Muslim era. The earliest known rulers of Kashmir were Ganandiyas, a Hindu dynasty which ruled for about 3,049 years. Some records were kept during this era, but unfortunately they were lost. Kalhana's history is only accurate from around Karakota dynasty onwards. Before that, he is supposed to have used his imagination. Following this long stretch of Hindu era was Buddhist era, brought on by King Ashoka. King Ashoka founded the capital Srinagar, about 3 miles from the present city of Srinagar, during the time when his kingdom covered Kashmir. The city developed rapidly and became prosperous and important. He constructed a large number of temples in Kashmir. After King Ashoka's brutally Pyrrhic victory in Kalinga, Odisha, in 261 BC, he turned Buddhist and made Kashmir the northern center for the development and diffusion of his new religion. This was the time Buddhism flourished in Kashmir. It is said that Buddha himself had thought that Kashmir's environment was suitable for the meditative practices of Buddhism. But with history's unexpected turns, Buddhism receded from Kashmir for about 200 years, when Ashoka's son Jaluka, separating from his father's kingdom, founded an independent state which practiced Hinduism. It was in King Kanishka's empire that Buddhism was brought back to Kashmir, and it flourished then much more than its significant success the first time around. During this time, an international Buddhist council called the Third Council was organized just outside the present-day Srinagar in a place called Kundalwan, which is perhaps the present-day Harwan. This council, which lasted 6 months, was attended by some 500 Buddhist and Hindu scholars from different countries under the chairmanship of a Kashmiri Brahmin named Vasu Mitra. One of the momentous results of this council was the development of Mahayana Buddhism. The council was a watershed event in the diffusion of Buddhism outside India, like to Central Asia, Tibet, China, Korea, and Japan. So this was the time when Buddhism flourished. As times changed, we had Hindu kings coming on till 1339. They were from different dynasties, and the first one was Karakota dynasty, which lasted for 255 years, and one of the very renowned kings of that time was Lalitaditya Muktapida. Then we had Utpala dynasty, which was there for 148 years. And at this time, there was a famous queen of Kashmir called Dida. She reigned for something like 50 years. And a famous scholar called Abhinav Gupta, who was the founder of Kashmir Shaivism, was born in that era. Then came first Lohar dynasty, which lasted for 98 years, and one of the prominent kings of that time was King Harsha. Then the second Lohar dynasty where Pandit Kalhana, the famous historian, he wrote Raj Tarangni during this time. And also during this time, there was a watershed event in the history of Kashmir. We had 3 outsiders in Kashmir in about 2 years' time. We had Rinchana, came from Ladakh. Then we had Dalucha, a Tatar, and we have Shahmeed, who came from Swat, which is in present-day Pakistan. And then also at that time, we had another famous queen of Kashmir, Kota Rani, who was a queen only for about a year. So the total Hindu era lasted for about 4,459 years. And the Muslim era, which I said earlier, started in 1339, and it lasted totally for 480 years. Now, after Shahmeed, who was from Sultanate dynasty, which was there in power for 210 years. Then we had Chucks for 31 years, followed by Mughals for 166 years, and followed by the most brutal rulers of Kashmir, Afghans, for 67 years. So 480 years of Muslim era, then followed by Sikhs, who because of Treaty of Kashmir gained control, Treaty of Amritsar, over Kashmir, and they ruled for 27 years. And finally, Dogras, who ruled Kashmir for 101 years. So this brings us back up to 1947. So we see that based on Kalhana's Raj Tarangni, we go to 3120 BC. That means about 5,000 years back in time. That's how old we know about the history of Kashmir.
I hope you enjoyed the presentation by Mr. Maharaj Kaul and got a better understanding of Kashmir and its history. See you on the next segment of Aura of Kashmir.